the notion of globalization is taken for granted today. Is it really the case? What's your view on it?
Well, I think everybody's talking about globalization. I think part of the problem, though, is that we all bring our personal experiences to bear on this issue, but without necessarily looking at the broader data or trying to figure out what's happening outside our immediate personal experience. So to me, the most striking thing about the debate about globalization today is the extent to which it's assumed that borders don't matter much anymore. And I'm surprised to find very sensible people with lots of world experience subscribing to this doctrine. And so there's a mismatch between the attention devoted to globalization and I think the quality of the information that is brought to bear.
How would you summarize your message on globalization? I think maybe that's captured in the title of your book that you just wrote.
Well, my book is titled Redefining Global Strategy, and the idea is that global strategy has really been taken over by people who, in some sense, pretend that the world is completely integrated or flat or distance doesn't matter. And to me, the essence of the managerial challenges of globalization are dealing with the very large differences that still arise at national borders.
Which are those main differences?
Well, I think that there's several different categories of differences, and it's worth maybe being a little bit structured about what these are. I think, first of all, there are clearly still big cultural differences that divide countries. Language is an obvious example. So when one looks for funny marketing campaigns that misfired, you know, one thinks of the Chevy Nova not selling very well in Latin America for the obvious reasons that the name does not travel well. But it goes beyond language. Okay. There are other cultural differences as well, such as a while ago, Walt Disney decided that it was going to try and make The Alamo, a movie in English, of big crossover appeal to the Hispanic population. Now, given what the Alamo represents in relations between Mexico and the United States, the notion that there was going to be a very sympathetic Hispanic audience for this movie, no matter how hard Disney tried, it wasn't going to work as well as The Lion King. So that's point number one. Culture still matters. Second thing is that politics and administrative factors still matter. And one of my favorite examples in this regard is Rupert Murdoch buying Star TV, which was supposed to be a pan-Asian broadcaster. And there were two problems with Star TV. One was that it assumed that everybody in Asia's top 5% wanted to watch English language programming, which is not the case. So that was the cultural difference. But even worse for Murdoch was the fact that after he gave a speech describing satellite television as a threat to authoritarian regimes everywhere, the Chinese government banned private ownership of satellite dishes. And so the last 13 years, News Corporation's strategy in China has basically involved trying to climb out of that hole that they dug themselves into because they ignored the fact that polities are very different and that media in general is a very politically sensitive sector. And then, of course, we have the usual geographic and economic differences. But my point is that the cultural and administrative differences are the ones that I've seen companies most often ignore as they get very excited about new technology like satellite TV, abolishing the constraints on reach of a TV broadcaster. Yes, geographic distance doesn't matter very much with satellite television, but cultural and political distance continue to matter a great deal.
Okay.